I want to introduce the world to the madness of my character creation process. Um, I like to write stories, write fiction, and a lot of my friends and my peers, they know about that, but they don't really know too much about what I do and what this hobby of mine is. I'm sure they understand I'm quite the creative guy, and so I thought maybe I could record me somewhat brainstorming through maybe creating characters. So, on the chapter I'm currently writing right now, I've brought in a new character, and his name is Salister. And rather than just bring a character and just making him plain and simple, I wanted to, you know, give him a bit more background and have a deeper understanding of him. Because I believe each character that I create in the stories I write, I believe all of them deserve a bit of depth. They can't just be like, oh, that's a mailman. Oh, that's just, the baker at the bakery. No, no, no. There's, everyone's got a story out there. All you people out there, I don't believe you're all just plain and simple and you're just whatever your job is. There's more depth to all of you. There's more ambitions. There's more history. And so for this new character I'm creating, Salister, um, yeah, I felt like maybe having a bit of a recording as I brainstorm through how I'll paint him. Now, so Salister, he's a sea trader. So he trades by boat. He's human. I know that's a funny detail to add, but with the stories I'm writing, maybe there's a bit more than just humans about. And he trades pretty much anything around the worlds and all that. And he trades it on his ship with his crew that I guess they call the Water Wagon. I don't know, I might change the name of the ship later. I might change the name of Salister, but for now he's just Salister. I don't have a family name for him. So Salister is introduced in the 29th chapter, which is through the point of view of one of my protagonists named Venturius, a young kid living in a small town named Hinden. Well, yeah, so we're introduced to Salister as he is drinking at Giselle's snack shop. Um, Giselle is Venturius' mother. She owns a snack shop, or what others would call an izakaya. A place that you can drink, buy snacks, chill out. It's a place you drink, pretty much. And from what I've written so far in the chapter, you find out Salister's concerns about arming himself, like, getting weapons and arming himself and his crew, because the sea trade they do is a bit more dangerous since they are now trading in this place called the New Lands. And it's known that trading in the New Lands is dangerous because there's a lot of pirate activity. Yeah, so that's just the gist of what we know about Salister. So I felt that maybe giving him a bit more depth would, really help with my story writing journey, so that if I ever bring him up again, I have more of an understanding of who he is, what he stands for, what he believes in, what he doesn't believe in, and all that. I actually already made a few notes, but we're just going to go through what kind of background I want to put for him. So I guess with Salister, he's a sea trader, and it's what we know about him trading is he doesn't really have an exact product or an exact thing that he ships. He pretty much gets his hands on anything and then just tries to make money off it. Trade this, trade that. Just a common trade. And I guess further we'll find out that he eventually delves into having a set contract of trading a particular thing. But on to creating the background of this character, Salister. So, I guess when I thought about him and I was creating his background, the main underlying theme about him and his situation is that he has this urge to really explore the new lands and the new land waters and really establish trade there. And what he is facing, like at the time where he's introduced into the current chapter, he had encountered particular people. So he's made an encounter sailing in the new lands, and he pretty much is about to make a big trade with an official from Paella. So in the new lands, Paella is one of the main countries that is trying to establish themselves in the new area, in the new lands, and they have a settlement. Salister was already trading at one of the ports, one of the naval bases that the Paellas already established halfway to the new lands, and that area is called the Midway Isles, or the Midway Islands. So we have where everyone else lives, and then we have the new lands, and in the middle is a bunch of islands called the Midway Isles. Not that clever with the naming, but it's what I have so far. I've already written him talking about the Midway Isles and his concerns about that. But the country of Paella, or Pael I should say, they have paella. I wouldn't mind some paella. The country of Pael, they already have a naval dock in the Midway Isles, and that, of course, is going to help that country, eventually improve their settlement in the new lands. And since Salister has been doing trade around, he's been trying to do trade around the new lands, the Midway Isles. He's been getting a bit of reputation for his trade there, and the officials at the Pael port or naval dock, they gave him an offer, and this offer was, all right, if you help trade your shipment to our settlement in the new lands, you might find some good work. You might find that we might contract you to continue this trade. That's a big thing for a sea trader, given that it's actually a country, a nation that wants you to work for them. It's not just off trades hoping that this person will buy it for this, or I can ship these goods to you and maybe I can get a good price. No. When you deal with a nation, they like to lock things in, and they pay their worth. Because if I had a country and I wanted some guy to ship me this, I'd make sure they get their money's worth, so that they don't do a dodgy job, or they don't half-ass the shipment and all that. It's a big thing. There's also other benefits with trading with a country. That's all not important detail, but it is something that Salister is considering. So this new opportunity to trade with the nation of Pael, especially in the new lands, it's a very big thing for Salister, just a simple trader who trades whatever. And I'm guessing that's what that's the sole urge, that's the real urge he has, like, inside him. He really wants to make big with this. Because trading back where all the other countries are, it's simple, it's plain, there's too much competition in it. But here in the new land, it's different. It's dangerous because there's lots of pirates, but it's a big opportunity. So that's the main situation that's going on with him in terms of creating his background. Because remember, this chapter that I'm writing right now, it's not really his point of view, but he's a character that's come in. It's still from Venturius' point of view, but I'm using Salister to introduce this new world of the new lands, the world of sea trade, piracy, some the world of like politics and trade and commerce and logistics. Yeah, so I'm using the introduction of Salister to really add this to my current story. So that's the main situation going on with him. He's been offered a assignment to trade his goods to the settlement of Pael. So I guess a detail I haven't really clarified with myself or in the writing so far, because I've only just started the chapter, is that Salister and his crew have actually not sailed all the way to the new world, to the new lands yet. They've only sailed, far into the Midway Isles, but never directly all the way to the new lands. And I guess I could say because, going all the way down to the new lands, that's just as dangerous and that's just as risky for a trader. Your ship is more likely to run into trouble, to pirates, to things unknown. Because as I introduced Salister into this chapter and I was writing this chapter, I got him talking about, the dangers that they face, such as, the sea criminals, but also the dangerous waters that most out at sea dare not lurk into or sail into. Don't worry about that for now. But yeah, we'll get more into the background of Salister. So from the chapter, what had recently happened to him is he's improved his sea trading skills or prowess, let's just say. With more experience and more time out at sea doing trades and all that, he's built himself a bit of a reputation. But also he's built his skills, so he's gotten better at communicating, being more firm with what he's willing to pay, what he's willing to sell for. And he's just gotten more firm and more confidence in what he's willing to trade, like how much he's willing to trade, how much shipment he's willing to take, how much he's willing to distribute. And so he's up and coming, and he's more proud of himself. He's definitely making more coin. That's why he's at Giselle's, having a good time, drinking up, enjoying himself. Him, the crew, they're quite settled, they're quite happy. And what he, and I guess in his development, he will soon, of course, get even better, where he gets very firm and precise with his, let's just say, his communication and his stance. Because the more he becomes known, the more he can really settle down and say, no, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to deal with, this is what I'm willing to take, or this is what I'm willing to trade. He's more concerned about his crew, maybe his other clients or other merchants he deals with, maybe how he has to deal with Paella, the safety of his duties as a sea trader. He just becomes more firm, especially in terms of communicating it. And let's just say he becomes more self-reliant, independent, because he's not just like any other sea trader. He's doing things that he wants. Most traders out there, they picked one product and they monopolized in it, and they just did that, and then they kind of get stuck in the same thing. But he's been trying to trade whatever, as you find out when he's introduced in the chapter. And I forgot to mention what the last thing he's been trading while he's been well off is he's been trading fruit. And trading fruit to the Midway Isles and the New Lands has been quite beneficial for him, because there's always going to be a high demand for, nutrition, for nutritious goods. And he's realized, wow, this is really making it. And if I'm dealing with the nation of Pael, I'm feeding like something big here. So being offered to trade the fruits that he's been picking up all the way to the new land, it does seem promising. He is worried, like he is extremely worried about commencing this trade, because he's already worked so hard in his life as a sea trader that he's already made a lot of good relationships. People know him now. He's definitely got a bit of a reputation in the Midway Isles and the New Lands, somewhat. Trade back at home as well has been good as well. So he doesn't want to ruin those kind of opportunities that he's already set up for himself, because he can be comfy now. He can just settle, do his good old trade, make some decent cash. He's already established. But he also doesn't want to ruin his relationship with his crew, because in embarking in this new territory, the crew know it's dangerous as hell, and they've somewhat encountered pirates. Maybe they're not like completely engaged, but they we find out in like where I'm up to writing right now is like they escaped engagement with some of the sea criminals. But yeah, his crew, half of his crew is very concerned about doing trade in this new area, because they know it's dangerous and it's scary. Being at sea is a scary thing. I think a lot of us here that live at land, us land lovers, we don't understand what sort of courage a man needs, or a person needs, to live out at sea. It's different. The dangers, the calamities are always in your face. There's no stable grounding that you can rely on. All you've got is you, your ship, and your crew, and the blessings of the gods of the waters and skies. So what he's really worried about is his relationship with his crew, because so I guess we could say underlying detail about Salister, he's a really caring person, and he really cares about his relationship with his people he deals with, and especially his crew. They've always stuck together. He hasn't had to always just find new crewmen and trade them all. Like, people always stick with him because they know, like, he's a caring, loving guy, and he does things right, and he doesn't want to separate from the established crew that he's already set up. But of course, he does have ambitions to grow, and he wants him and his crew to really make a name for themselves and really make it big, with now dealing with the nation of Pael. It's you could say, yeah, that's a really big thing, really, to be requested to be sorting out goods for a nation. Of course, there are still the worries of, that means we have to be trading in these dangerous waters. Ooh. So his crew's a bit half about it. Half of them, they're down. The other half are like, I don't know, this is pretty dangerous. So he's a bit torn between that. But deep down, like in his heart, he knows, hey, I'm almost completely establish myself as a completely successful sexual a completely successful trader, and he feels inside that this is the last thing he just needs to establish, this somewhat contract with the nation of Pael. And also, he got into sea trade as well for a good reason, because he loves sailing, he loves traveling, and to just be able to, explore such waters is a big thing for him. I'm guessing I'm gonna say that he's from the nation of Tamada, and he used to trade around, Tamada, the Livian Sea, to Pael, to all the nations around there. And then he used to also trade around the backside of Monrosia. So that's why he's in Monrosia right now, because he's always doing trades around, He takes different routes on his sea trade. Not the easy common route. Like, he likes to sail out. So he's at the backside of Monrosia, which is where Hinden is, which is the town that Venturius lives in. It's not the busiest of places because, there isn't actually much trade happening there. But there is the main port city, which is very close to Hinden, which is Jerna. And that's usually where he trades, because Jerna's got a bit more activity there. Jerna is the main port where, if you want to get to the Midway Isles, you go sail from Jerna to the Midway Isles, and then obviously from there to the New Worlds. I mean, the New Land, sorry. But yeah, so he has a love for sailing and traveling, but at the same time, he does feel like, yeah, I gotta make this one last established duty as a trader, and that's when I could really be satisfied with myself. It's what he wants. And he's already getting to that stage, his communication, his bartering skills are way stronger, way firmer and more reliable as well. He's not just taking any job. Like, he's not putting his crew through shit for no reason. He's known as a understandable, reasonable guy. Alright, so I guess we'll give more detail about what's going on with him. So the environment he's now deciding to engage in, it is dangerous waters. There's, of course, the sea crime, and of course there's, the mystical unknown that is just as dangerous as the sea criminals out there, because these are all uncharted waters, somewhat uncharted, but they're not exactly governed. What makes the place so dangerous and volatile is, there isn't much of a naval force protecting the trade in this area. That's what makes it so much harder to trade there, because there's only so much that, there's only so much naval force controlling the waters there, where there's always danger if you're a trader. More of the navies of all the other nations, they're all concentrating on warfare and dealing with the protection around the waters back home. So in these new lands in the Midway Isles, there isn't much law enforcement, for lack of a better word. So it's very dangerous, and I guess to roam such an environment, sailors need to really transform themselves in a way where they need to adapt to this new volatile environment. Inside Salister does want to, he hopes that with his new trade he can get a lot of gains. Like, he's hoping it'll be very profitable, but profitable enough so that he can do good by everyone, because he's such a caring guy. He wants to make sure he supplies and feeds his crew, that he can become known as reliable to the nation of Pael. That he wants to really make his mark on the waters as a reliable, trustworthy, and well-known trader. Because he does want to just give. He doesn't care about making too much profit, but he cares about really having everyone trust him, and building the relationships, even with a nation, even with other traders, other merchants, and most importantly with his crew. He understands that they're going out to danger, but he wants to make sure that it's going to be worth it and everyone gets their fair share. The thing that I guess Salister needs to always keep in mind is to always be fair and to always do the right thing and be just. I guess maybe when I introduce him into later chapters or anything, maybe he might get tempted with, bigger deals, bigger trades, different directions, possibly criminal activity. I don't know, but the main thing I wanted for him was, as long as he keeps in mind to stay fair and to be just and do the right thing, especially because now he's going to deal with, trading for or handling shipment for a nation, he needs to always do the right thing and be firm. He can already establish that because he's developing his communication a lot better, where he's being more firm with himself and what he wants. So yeah, that's going to be one of the main themes that come up with him, always remembering to be just and right, like kind of like a paragon of the sea, you could say. And whether he sees it or not, his endeavors are going to be extremely fruitful. He doesn't understand how successful and fulfilling his new endeavors are going to be for him. But of course, the road's not going to always be easy. And as the writer of his life, of course I'm going to, throw a few things in front of him. Yeah, but he doesn't understand that. The thing he doesn't also know is that when he eventually journeys to the new lands and gets to the settlement that Pael established, he's actually going to be dealing with, I don't know what you call this position, but let's just say the Secretary of Resources and Food of the Pael settlement. He's actually going to be dealing with a big guy, and he's going to start a really big relationship with this individual, and thus is going to make his life as a sea trader very, very fruitful and successful. And since he's going to be contracted by a nation, it will actually provide benefits that he doesn't quite understand yet. So let's just hope that he stays just. Let's just hope that his communication is on point and he does develop his expression better, so he can really put forth what he wishes and what he needs so that he can do the job. And let's just hope him safe journeys as he sails out. Anyway, that's the background that I've created for this little side character that I've just created. And I hope it was interesting going through all this. I'm going to do this for maybe all the characters I'm going to start bringing into my stories. I'm going to brainstorm the ideas of what I want for them and all that. In writing my current chapter, I actually have the thought to bring in a few new characters, because we need to up the conflict that's happening right now. and I've got some conflicting characters that are on the way. So maybe I might do another brainstorm just like this very, very soon. But yeah, so that for now is brainstorming and creating the character Salister.